very pleased to introduce Redstar Gold. It's actually our first formal presentation because we're undergoing a transformation that will result in Redstar becoming Heliodor Metals, and we're forming a new company that is well funded and has an exciting portfolio that I can introduce. We will be making forward-looking statements, so please refer to our cautionary statement in your MIF package. So as I touched on, Redstar Gold is currently undergoing a transformation. We're midway through that transformation that started in July this year. I previously was the president of a private company, Heliodor Metals, and Heliodor Metals had put together an attractive project, a portfolio of projects in northern Mexico. But we were on the lookout from early last year for a high quality gold project that we could take forward. And we looked at a number of projects, but early this year we started talking with Redstar Gold because we think the Unga project has significant potential. And so by mid-July, both parties had agreed on a structure that would allow us to create the new company, Heliodor Metals. And so we've been in the middle of that process since July, and that will conclude on September the 29th. So this slide you can see summarizes the transaction at the moment. Currently, we have 474 million shares outstanding at 12 cents a share for just short of a $57 million market cap. The process that we're undergoing will involve a name change that I mentioned, but also a 15-1 rollback that will be voted on at the AGM in September the 29th, and that will be the completion of the formation of the new company. To get to that point, we raised $7 million in a private placement at the beginning of August. So the company is now in a strong position, and you can see that in the green bars in the middle. So we have 10 million, just short of $10 million in cash today. And with the rollback, we will have the 31.6 million shares outstanding. So a new investor into Heliodor will have a very tight share structure, a strong management team, a well-funded treasury, and so therefore we have no impediments to going forward and fully exploring our project. Our corporate structure therefore has undergone a considerable change, and you can see in the bar chart on the right the breakdown of those ownerships. Most significantly is the alignment with the board and management. We own just short of 22% of this company. So we're strongly aligned with our shareholders in the results that we hope to achieve. Eric Sprott is a significant shareholder. The Heliodor investors make up a portion, also with the August private placement of $7 million that I just referred to, that was strongly institutionally backed, make up over 50% of the new company, and the residual Redstar shareholders make up a significant portion. And so that boils down in an investment summary, I think, into four key features that you need to see. First and foremost, you need to have quality exploration projects in your portfolio. And so our flagship project, which I'll expand on further, is the Unga project. We also have some projects in Mexico that I'll touch on. The new management team, led by myself, has a track record of discovery. We also have a very strong board now with Jacques Vaillancourt, George Ireland, Ken Booth, Alan Wilson, and William Lamb. And so we cover what I think is a very important spectrum of financial expertise, operating experience, and then the technical know-how to explore and advance projects. Sorry, just an aside technically, the time is not working. If that could be updated to track, please. We also have the strong financial position that I mentioned and the tight share structure such that we can react to any good news flow that will come from our projects. And so those projects start with the Unga project. We're further southwest in the Aleutian Islands from Darwin's High Gold project. We own the Unga project 100%, and that is spread across the Unga Island and the Popov Islands. Joe touched on earlier that we're blessed with a very long field season, and that's because I think it'd be a surprise to a lot of people, but we're further south than the Golden Triangle in BC. We use the village of Sandpoint as our base. It has excellent infrastructure, a deep water port, a very large airstrip, a local village that provides a lot of services for us. And we also have long-term access agreements with the Aleut Corp, which is the Alaska Native Corp, and new surface rights agreements. We just extended the Unger Island agreement with the Unger Corporation for 3 years. But I'll move forward to touch on our projects and our prospects very quickly, just to provide a high-level introduction. So the 8,000 metre program that we announced today, that we have just commenced drilling on, we'll start and focus on the SH1 resource area. The SH1 resource area is a 5 to 15 metre wide vein that's got drill holes in it, including 7 metres at just short of 24 grams, including just short of 2 metres at 200 grams. And it has a couple of key expansion areas. There's not a lot of shallow drilling between the first intercepts and surface. There's a lot of drill holes spaced 100 to 300 metre space at depth, and that's just inappropriate for an epithermal deposit. So we'll tighten those spacings up. And you can see at the bottom of this slide that there's significant intercepts that show very high grades that are wide open. So we'll be coming to extend these chutes at depth and show that the SH1 resource, it's high grade at the moment, but it could be considerably bigger. I'll quickly touch on Apollo. It was Alaska's first underground gold mine. Historic records suggest 150,000 ounces at 10 grams. But the old timers, when they finished in 1922, showed that this was open. It becomes more polymetallic with silver and a high base metal credit, but they dug shafts and tunnels and blocked out ore that we're showing in the red bands. They showed widths of 8 to 12 feet in the middle, 20 feet under the old Apollo mine. No one's ever followed up that drilling. So we'll be coming in to drill these sort of higher probability targets under the old resource that's never been drilled since the mine shut down in 1922. Over at Centennial on Popov Island, Battle Mountain found this in the early 1980s and defined a non-compliant resource of outcropping flat-lying mineralisation, 201,000 ounces at 1.3 grams. But intriguingly, they got these higher grade intercepts. You can see we've highlighted Centennial 6, which is 4.6 metres at 5.15 grams. We think that there's feeder zones that come up and feed this flat-lying blanket of mineralisation. So we'll be drilling for those feeder zones using some geophysical support this year. And then lastly, and perhaps the sleeper of the 4 targets, is Aquila. It's on the western end of the SH1 vein. Battle Mountain again found this in the early 1980s. They completed 17 trenches showing reasonable widths at good grades, but they had significant recovery issues. So we're going to go back and try and drill with modern muds, modern drilling techniques, and get far better recoveries. And potentially there's another ore shoot there. So we've just started drilling. We'll have consistent news flow over the next couple of months into early next year on 4 really high probability targets at our flagship project. We also have a really attractive portfolio in northern Mexico that's slightly earlier stage, and I'll just touch on those now. So we're in northern Sonora, surrounded by the Santa Elena, Mercedes mines, the Las Chispas development project that Silvercrest have. So an excellent jurisdiction to work in. And we're going to drill our Oso Negro project later this year. We own 100% of this project. We purchased it early this year. It's got 3 outcropping veins between 500 and 700 meters long. What we really liked about it is it's got consistent high-grade mineralization along that. Some very high-grade silver and some very high-grade gold to go with it. And it's seen very little exploration. So we'll come in and do some detailed mapping, and then we'll do the first ever drilling program on Oso Negro to look for continuation of this high-grade mineralization at depth. And then the last project that I'd like to touch on is our Kumaro project. Coomera is part of the El Picacho district, and it's just become a lot more topical, you could say, because Silvercrest last week just announced that they'd purchased the majority of this district for $1.6 million US and payment of the back taxes. The exciting thing from our perspective is that those veins continue directly onto our ground with drilling right up to our border. And the district's divided into two halves, with a down-thrown block to the east and an up-thrown block to the west. So we've got a fully preserved part of this epithermal field on the eastern side. So what you can see over the rest of this year from Redstar is that we will be very active on high probability targets at Unga in Alaska, and then we'll pivot to Mexico, and we'll have a reborn company with a very strong financial structure and cash position. So that's the investment thesis for Redstar becoming Heliostar Metals going forward.